So we always say that we had the perfect white picket fence family. You know, we had our house, we had dogs, we had 2 girls, we had jobs. You know, life was what everybody dreams that, you know, what we thought that's the best life we could have. The last thing that I know Leighton heard, because we're not sure, you know, Friday morning what she heard, was, Leighton, would you please just quit crying and go to sleep? So, you know, you got to deal with that. We were up all night and I just wanted to go to sleep, but, you know, that's something I got to deal with. That was the last thing I know I said to her that she heard. And she was the first grandchild for my family, and she was the second for Landon, so it was all that, the newness for everybody. Just a little baby for everyone to love, and she was rotten.
yeah, she was spoiled for sure.
So.
But yeah, just, I mean, get to that point where like, okay, now I'm not just in control of my life and my spouse, but we have like another person we're responsible for to survive and keep alive and feed and all that good stuff. So
in 2005, when Leighton was born, we had just gotten a routine. Landon was at work, and then, you know, we'd come home, we go to church, go to work, come home, go to church. It was just the same routine every day. And we just kind of had a conversation about, you know, there's got to be more to life than just this. Like, we're just checking the boxes. And we started praying in the spring of 2010 that God would use us to make him known to others, but, you know, that we could show God to others. And in my mind, God was calling us to Africa, because that's what God calls everybody. You know, we're going to go to Africa, we're going to move the kids there, we're going to live in an orphanage, we're going to have all these kids to take care of. That's the perfect life that I could have planned. And so
in my mind, she's crazy.
So we actually applied, and it took forever, but that's when there was money shortage, so we didn't get past the first step. And okay, we'll try again. And we kept praying, and at this point, Leighton was fixing to go to kindergarten, and it was that struggle. Am I going to go back? Am I going to stay home? Is Leighton going to be here? Am I going to be there? And all Leighton had known was being home, and she would have some headaches. And I'll never forget the first headache was she was at Eastside Bible School, and a dear friend called and said, hey, Leighton's got a headache and she just threw up. I thought, that's kind of odd. I said, well, she said, well, but you know, it's June, it's 110 degrees outside, and they just had crackers and grape jelly for their snack, for their Western theme. I thought, well, I'd be throwing up too if she give me that and we go outside. So I didn't think anything of it. The headaches might have been every couple of weeks, but it never slowed her down. That, well, my head kind of hurts, but then she'd be outside riding a bicycle, or my head hurts, and then she'd be off doing something with Miley, and we didn't think anything of it. There was no other health problems when it started that would concern us. And so we talked about when she went to her kindergarten checkup, we would just mention it to our pediatrician, and the pediatrician didn't see anything that concerned her. Really just thought, well, maybe she's kind of got some anxiety with school starting, or maybe she's got some vision problems, she gets her eyes checked, or there was nothing to do. We couldn't get MRI at Children's just because we're having a headache, and it would be months out. So just watch her, and let's just kind of see if anything changes.
Yeah, and so she said, you know, you might just get her eyes checked. You know, 'cause sometimes your eyes are kind of straining, it might give you a headache, and so you know, like Missy said, we weren't like, you know, concerned, but it got to a point where they were getting more frequent, to where the point of like, all right, God, just help us figure out like what's going on, like what's causing them, so we can get a plan in motion. And so that week of August 7th, 2010, Missy had scheduled an eye exam for her, and you know, they dilated her eyes. She got to wear the glasses, so she thought it was the coolest thing. And then they went to eat at Taco Bell, I think, and she got sick and threw up. And so we're like, you know, something's just, and I think it's around that time we're just like, you know, I know the doctor said it's okay, her eyes seem to be okay, but something's just not.
Maybe we should push for more to be done. So that was on Tuesday. Wednesday, we went to Walton Arts Center in Fayetteville. Disney's Beauty and the Beast Broadway was here, and that was the girls' favorite show. They'd been to Disney. They were thinking that Disney was coming to them. And I forget, we had front row seats, which I don't know how we managed to get that last minute. And Layton had a great night. She was smiling and dancing and singing and as if she was on stage, and this was her show. Pictures, all smiles. It was almost like God was giving us that last great memory. About 8:15, I went in Friday morning, and I was like, "Hey, Lay, you gotta get up, wake up." And she just kind of mumbled, and I said, "I know you're tired, but you gotta get up. 10 more minutes, and we're gonna get ready to go to the zoo." So I came back in at 8:27 Friday morning, and I was like, "Hey, Lay, you gotta get up." And she was just pale, and her lips were kind of blue, and she was non-responsive. And so, like, within 10 minutes, our life, drastically changed. So I hollered at Landon's uncle, and I said, "Something's not right with the leg." And he called 911, and then Landon's cousin called Landon at work, and everything just
went to full force, 100 miles an hour.
Children's, when you walk into the NICU, there's a big waiting room, but then if you go around to like the doctor's area, there's the doctor's conference room. And we had people there, and I don't want to say we're having a good time in the waiting room, but it's just normal conversations, because in our mind, we hadn't realized what was going on. And they moved us to this conference room, and our thought is, man, they really like us. We're gonna make some friends here. They like Layton, so we can hang out. But we're not realizing they're giving this conference room to us because they know what's coming. But with the conference room, we had direct access to Layton's room, so there was no checking in. There was no certain visit hours. We had 24-hour access. And in our minds, still, we're like, this is cool. Like, we've got it made up here, and we can just go see Layton whenever. We can come and go. Somebody was always in the room with her. We didn't realize they were giving us time. Our last hours, with her. In my mind, I'm praying, God, she's here. People are praying. Now use her. I'm thinking of Lazarus. We're on our deathbed, but I know tomorrow you're going to wake her up, and she's going to walk home, and she's going to have this amazing story to tell people, and we're going to be like, that's Lay. That's what God can do. So that was still my prayer, was, just wake her up, God. I know you can. I know you will. And just let us be guided with what you want us to do with her story. So as I'm singing to her, I kind of notice her arm kind of moves, and I'm like, this is it. Get ready. This is our God moment. Get ready. And so Landon's brother comes in, and I didn't say anything, and we're singing another song, and she kind of moves again, and his brother's like, did you see that? I'm like, yeah, I did. And so more people come in, the nurse comes in, and we're all like, I don't want to say hyped up, but we were excited. Like, our daughter's to wake up, and we're all singing to her, and how cool is this going to be? And the nurse is like, I'm sorry, it's just reflexes, and there's nothing that's changed. But she's like, but just keep singing, just keep doing whatever you're doing, keep praying, keep singing. And so it was one of those, another punch in the gut, but yet we knew God could still do something, and we knew God still would do something, just on His time.
And we'd never been to Children's before. We walk out, and if you walk out the cafeteria, take a right, like right there is the chapel, and we just went into the chapel. It was just us in there, and we just sit on the second row there, and just that was kind of our Garden of Gethsemane moment. We were just crying out to God, and if this is your will, we're on board, and we don't like it, we don't know what's going on, but help us to have her back 100% or take her home. Like, we didn't want any in between. So at that point, that was our decision. It wasn't the decision, do we unplug her, do we try? That was the decision. She's not getting anything. And so we just kind of stood up in front of our family and friends and just said, we don't like this, we don't know what's gonna happen next, but we do know that we trust God, and that He's gonna get us through this somehow or another. And after it was probably a little 20-30 minute little church, and we had people kind of testifying from the back, I'm going to be a better cousin, a better aunt, a better brother. And Brother Mike kind of pulled us to the side, and he's like, when y'all's ready, he's like, I want y'all to, get up in front of the church and share your testimony. And this was Saturday night. They had just pronounced Leighton brain dead at like 6:35 that night. And Missy, without even hesitating, says, we'll do it tomorrow. And he's like, no. He's like, I don't think you know what I'm... He's like, I want you to get up in front of the church. He's like, no. She's like, we're going to do it tomorrow because if, we don't want to give... I think her words, we don't want to give Satan any chance to get in there and, kind of attack us. And so, that was it's one of the worst feelings in the world, not just to lose a child, but walking out of the hospital that your child goes into and you walk out without him. That's just, it's unexplainable, it's unimaginable, it's something that no parent should ever have to face.
The friendships changed.
Yeah, just relationships change, and that's just part of it, one of the words that we heard from another group of grieving parents is, you got to find your new normal, because that's what it is. You evolve into this new. Miley had to grow up quick, right? Because she went from being little sister to now she's big sister, right?
You got to explain heaven, and she's not coming home, and all these conversations that how do you explain to a 3-year-old, and you hope years down the road that you handled it the right way, and that she doesn't have this built up trauma, or that she can just give it to God.
So then we begin to see how God starts to use this our tragedy for his glory, right? So I remember Stan Rowe had given me a Arkansas State Baptist newsletter one Sunday night after church. It was like the following December, so August, we're talking like 4 or 5 months after Leighton had died. And he's like, whenever you're ready, he's like, there's a story in here that you might be able to relate to. And got home and read it, and it was a story of Hannah Sullivan. She was a 19-year-old girl, passed away from cancer, brain cancer. She was a junior in high school at the time. And it told about, her dad and mom, Jill and Brad Sullivan. And so Miss had just sent Jill an email that, hey, we're new to this club, we don't want to be in it, but we're new to it, and how do you get through the Christmases? Because we had Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up. It's like, holidays coming up. What do you do? And they were a little bit further on the journey than we were, and she just said, I'll never forget. She said the anticipation of the day is a lot worse than the day itself. So a lot of times we're our own worst enemies. We build that day up, like, how are we gonna do it? And you get through it, and yeah, it stinks, but it's not that bad. Anyways, them along with the Sullivans and then Larry and Janice Brown, they had lost their son Adam Brown. He was a Navy SEAL. He died over in the Hindu Kush Mountains in Afghanistan to fight for our country. They had gotten together and formed this ministry called While We're Waiting, and they had their first retreat in April of 2011, and they invited me and Misty to come. And so we went to the retreat. It was, you think it's a good idea like 3 months out, and then the week of it you're like, what in the world are we doing? This is a horrible idea. This is going to be the most depressing weekend of our lives, just sitting around talking to other parents that have lost kids and just bawling. But truly it was a catalyst in our grief journey, just to be around other people that you didn't have to explain yourself to. They just got you.
So Leighton passed away in August, and then we found out that we're pregnant like in January. And I thought, okay, this is cool. God, not the right words.
Takes away and gives.
God took away, but now he's going to give. And so it was a little bit, my heart will never be complete, but it was a little bit of healing. God will provide. God's got a plan. Leighton's going to have a sibling now. We get to the doctor and there's no heartbeat. So it's we've got to have a DNC, and it's just like one of those, like, what are you doing, God? Like, you took Leighton, you took this baby, like, what are you doing? And I was very good at hiding all of my emotions and feelings and trying to protect other people, and I wouldn't upset them by talking about things and keeping it all in. We went to that retreat, and I feel like almost like that was rock bottom, but I had to go there to come up. So I actually ended up in the ER that night with a major full-blown panic attack, and I thought I was dying. And but it took that to realize, you've got to give all this to God. Like, you can't keep this grief and this pain and this anger for God taken. Like, he's got a plan, and you've got to just give it all to him. So, like, that retreat not only changed our grief journey, but I feel like I had permission to live again and not be so angry or hurt or you owe me, God. Like, I was in this you owe me big time kind of mentality. Because he didn't owe me anything. Leighton was his from the beginning, and I had a great time with her, and I will have Leighton and that baby in heaven one day, but he owes me nothing. Like, he can bless me, and he has blessed us way more than I deserve since losing Leigh. But that was my, like, come to Jesus moment. So I always say why Leighton saved us in more than one way, because it really kind of, okay, now go live the life that God has for you. So we went to the retreat, and we figured, okay, that was all he offered. We're done. Now, go live. We got pregnant again, and Landry Leigh was born in January of 2011.
Yeah.
And Lan likes to tell a story because I don't remember any of it. So
I love the story. So she was once again on pain meds. I don't know why all the great moments in our life she's on pain meds.
So we went in to have the baby. Everything had always been fine, Leighton and Miley, and we always say Landry's on Landry time, and true to this day, she's still on Landry time, and she was not in a hurry to come out. So
so things weren't progressing as fast as the doctor was like. So we're probably gonna put you in for a C-section. It's just like what's going on? Like, you think C-section from natural birth, like something's majorly wrong. And so of course I get the cool hazmat suit and all this stuff and go in there. And Missy's just got this thing like laying down flat and being doped up, and she just panic mode. But one of the cool things, and it's just, I mean, it's there's no other explanation than it's just a God deal, because they ask us, they're like, well, do you want to listen to some music while I'm like, yeah, just turn it on K-Love and Christian or whatever. And so they're getting everything progressing, and they get to the point where they're pulling Landry out of Missy's tummy, and this song by Jeremy Camp called "I'll Still Believe" comes on. We played "I Will Praise You in the Storm" by Casting Crowns at Leighton's funeral, and we played Jeremy Camp's "I Still Believe." And I'm talking at the moment that Landry's coming out. They're playing the song, and I just lose it. And Missy's like, "Well, what are you bawling about?" And I'm like, I hear the song?" She's like, "Yeah, I hear it, but what's going on?" And it's just God's just like, "Guys, I got this. Just keep believing in me. Keep coming to me. It's gonna be okay." And you just got to keep trusting, keep doing what you know to do, and that's just keep coming to me. It reminds us of the manna story. It's like, God doesn't just throw out manna and be like, "All right, see you later, enjoy the manna." No, you have to keep coming and getting it every single day, and you can't store it up, because you couldn't keep coming to Him. So I love telling that story, because it's just a reminder to me how God's just still working in our lives, and He has, because within 13 months we have another child.
We were done.
Mary Beth was born on February 26, 2013, and once again she's 2 years old or 3 years old.
3 years old.
She starts having stomach pains, and it's just kind of like, what, this is like weird. And she's like, "Oh, my tummy hurts," and just kept on going. We took her to the doctor a couple times, and they put her on some stomach medicine or whatever. And finally Missy just had enough. She's like, "We're going to the doctor. We're not leaving until we find out what this is." And so they
send us to Mercy.
Sent her to
for an
Mercy.
ultrasound, and I'm not sure why, and they won't say anything. And they're getting some pictures, and all of a sudden the nurse says, "Sit here, I'm going to get the doctor." And I'm thinking, this is not good, and they're not telling us anything, and it's like, you've got to tell me something. I'm not doing this again. And of course she doesn't know what I'm talking about, so I call Landon. I'm like, "You got to get here now because I don't know what's going on, but it's not good." So they tell us they're going to admit her. That
well, they take her down to do a CT scan because they're trying to figure out what's going on. I don't know if they really ever told us what they saw, because they really couldn't describe what they were seeing on the ultrasound. So they take her down to the emergency room, or the CT scan, and they give her, she has to drink this fluid so everything lights up. And at this point we still don't know what's going on, and they're taking us around to be admitted to the hospital so they can figure out what's going on. And we walk into the admittance room, and a lady from the back is on the phone, and she says, "Hold up, don't admit her.
Children's is coming to get her."
Children's is coming to get her." And we're like, what? We didn't know what's going on yet. We're like,
so
holy
we just
cow.
lost it. I mean, it was bad. We were a hot
Yeah, they're
mess
probably
in
like,
there.
what are these two idiots doing? I mean, we were just bawling, and we're like, what is going on? Apparently, her appendix had ruptured at 2 years old, and she just had a stomach full of infection. And so, anyways,
Florida Children's. Lenny got to go this time.
Yeah, I got to ride the helicopter. That's an expensive helicopter ride.
Yeah. We get there and we're under the impression they're going to do surgery that night, get all the gunk out. Well, it ends up being like a 6-month process. They put a drain tube in and we're there. They tell us for 2 weeks and we get to go home within a few days, and then we come back. That's like in September. We go back in January to finally have the appendix removed because there was so much gunk infection.
And swelling. And
but it's one of those, here we go again, God moments, but yet God allowed us to walk out with our child.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to go to PICU. In fact, I don't think we even walked up to PICU. We talked about maybe we should walk by there, and we're like, but and I was there for probably 3 or 4 days, and you can't go nowhere, and you're in this hospital, and it was really like saying, see, Missy, I've got this, just trust me. And so we got to go home with her. She's been fine since then, but we would have never chosen to go back to Children's, but it was like God gave us that, not every time you come here moment, I'm going to take something away.
Around 2016, we get a call from the fine folks that while we're waiting, they're like, hey, we got this idea, we're going to, because at that point, they were doing like one retreat in the spring and one retreat in the fall, and they were booked out for like 2 years. Like that's how much need this ministry was filling or trying to fill. And they're like, we just need to start doing more retreats. And so they put us in a group with Bobby and Amy Smith. They had lost their son Joel at 5 years old to a brain tumor. And so we just meshed real well. We knew of them, but we had never really met. We met once. And so ever since then, in 2016, we get to go to While We're Waiting, and they've built this awesome retreat center in Hot Springs that is strictly for parents that have lost kids. It's all free of charge, and we get to go help minister to parents that have lost kids, and it's such a blessing to us. I mean, not that we're going to hear stories about kids that have died, but we get to hear how they've just blessed other people, and just to hear the stories of some of the bravest parents we've ever met, and just hear some of their awesome kids. And we like to think that when we're down there with parents talking about our kids, that our kids are up in heaven, talking about us parents. So so then Liberty's born in 2016 as well. And
we're done.
She's good. Yeah, we're done at that point. I mean, we are good. And it's God definitely has a sense of humor, because Miss was actually on birth control, and God's like, no, you're not done. And so Ezekiel came along in 2018, and it's just another God story, how just God continues to work in our lives, because he was 2 weeks early, about a week early,
2 weeks early,
2 weeks early, and he just would not.
Well, he was born 8 years to the day that Leighton passed away. So
Leighton died on August 7th, 2010, and Ezekiel was born on August 7th, 2018.
So I say it's like God saying, be from ashes, just trust me. And he's a boy, the first boy, so that was even a bigger deal. So he's born, everybody's excited, and little Zeke just isn't quite ready to be here yet. So he ends up in the NICU for 21 days, and there was some up and down moments of, God, you are not taking this child, and we're not going to do this. And he came home, and he has not stopped being a boy, since then. So,
yeah, he was. Matter of fact, that next morning after he was born, they came in. They're like, "Yeah, we had to intubate him," and we're like, "Oh my goodness!" And I just lost it, because I'm just like, like Miss said, it's like God, and that's I think that's one of our. I mean, you always fear about losing a kid, but you think that once you've lost a kid, like you're immune to it, nothing else is ever going to bad happen to you because you've gone through it. But you come to that realization that if you're going to follow God, you're going to follow him no matter what. And this is just one thing we've had to. There's still days, and we're 13 years out, and there's just still days where it's not possible. Right. It doesn't seem real. Layton would have graduated last year. She'd have been a freshman in college this year, and so. I tell people that, Lucifer was hard and it was not fun, but it's almost like the things we miss from her being gone hurts.
The what ifs.
Just as much, as not more.
It used to be kindergarten pictures every year.
Those are still
But then
rough.
this past year it was the realization that we not only miss kindergarten, now you miss senior year. Every senior Sunday, every Sunday you see people posting, or we missed prom. Graduation was hard, but our homeschool group did a really cool thing to honor her. And so it was just neat to see people still remember Layton. They never met her, but to remember her on those important milestones. But on the flip side, it's fun doing life with Miley now, because all these things you missed.
Yeah.
We have Miley, and so we're getting to do the car and the driver's license and the friends hanging out, and it's that God's saying, just trust me. You're gonna get to experience this, and really it's more blessings than we would have expected, because we had Layton and Molly and that was it. But God just continues to bless us and bless us. And there's a verse in Habakkuk, and Len actually found it, but I claim it as my verse now. And it says, look at the nations and be amazed, for I will do a work in your day that if I told you, you would not believe. And if you would have told us that we would bury a child, I would have laughed. I mean, that's not our plan. If you also would have told us that we would have 6 kids, I would have been like, it's kind of a lot.
Yeah.
That we would homeschool. No, I will never homeschool my kids. All these things that what we thought was the plan, God's plans were way better. And if you just trust God, I always say that we put God in this box, but God wants to be out of the box and do His plan. And we're praying these small prayers, God, just, use me, but don't take my child, don't send me to Africa, don't make me move, I don't want to talk to anybody. But if we would just take God out of the box, He's got this great plan that we just have to be willing to trust Him.
Yeah. I think it's hard, sharing our story, and, people's like, oh man, it's just this great couple and we admire you. It's like, we are not. I mean, we're just 2 broken people that, Missy can tell you, I definitely don't have it all together, and, our marriage isn't perfect, our family isn't perfect, but, we serve a God that is, and that's all that we know, that's all we can fall back on, and now we have something to look forward to. Once you lose a child, like, your perspective of heaven changes drastically, because you got something there waiting for you. And it's not like a hope so, like I hope she's there, or I hope I get to heaven. It's like a hope so, like, that you've seen the bicycle under the Christmas tree, so you're getting it. So we know we're getting heaven, and we know that Layton's gonna be there. And we're just, like I said, we're just 2 broken people, 2 sinful people trying to do the best we can, and that includes just giving it to God. Hey guys, if you're struggling with the loss of a child, please feel free to reach out to Rye Hill Baptist Church. Ask for Landon and Missy. We'd love to contact you.
If you'd like more information on While We're Waiting and the retreats they offer, you can check out whilewe'rewaiting.org.